All right, if you're watching this video, most likely that means you could not make it to the first lecture of the semester for Bio 101-02, the syllabus discussion. So that's what this video is for. As you're going to learn later in this video, participation is graded. So you watching this video is important for two reasons. The most important reason is because you're going to need the explanation of how this course works and a little bit of explanation about the syllabus. That is the most important. But also, like I just said, you will get participation points throughout the semester, which will be explained later. And the way you get those participation points will vary depending on the day. And again, I'll explain that later. But for today, if you're watching this video because you were not present for the first lecture of spring 2026 for Bio 101-02, you are going to have to send in a series of attendance words. So throughout this video, throughout the lecture, I'm going to say something like, all right, the first word for attendance is bacon. Actually, let's go ahead and say that. The first word for attendance is bacon. So go ahead and write that down, jot that down, take a little note that says, okay, the first word for attendance is bacon. But also what you need to do is take a screenshot, right? So you're going to take a screenshot and write down every time I say an attendance word. Now, at the end of the lecture, what you're going to do, once it's all said and done, is send me an email. One email, and in that email, you're going to have a list of all those attendance words, along with a screenshot of each time I said it. So the first attendance word, again, is bacon. And the screenshot I'm going to see for that first attendance word is what you see right now, which is, should be able to see a blank screen that's got the WVSU logo on there. In the bottom right of the corner, I can see a lit room with my leg in it, right? So again, this is how you're going to get your participation points when you're watching this video. Again, I will say an attendance word, you write it down, you take a screenshot. I'm going to do that randomly throughout the lecture. And it's also worth noting, since you're watching this video anyway, that this is generally how it's going to go throughout the semester. Throughout the semester, if someone is not present for a lecture, they will be required to watch the video and send in a list of the attendance words and the accompanying screenshots. The only thing I should tell you, go ahead and give you a heads up, is throughout the semester it might change, right? So in that there might be more attendance words per lecture, or perhaps fewer. Or sometimes later in the semester, I might, instead of saying, all right, the next attendance word is bacon, like I just said, that was the first attendance word, right? Sometimes instead of giving an attendance word, I might say something like, all right, pay attention. I'm going to point to the next attendance word, at which point, of course it wouldn't work like this, but I would point to the screen and that you could read it, and you can't in this particular instance. But anyway, I might point to it and say, okay, that's the next attendance word, and I might not say it. Or I might circle it on the screen. Or I might ask a question, right? So I might say something like, I might be giving a lecture and say the definition of biology is the scientific study of life, right? I might say that, and then a few minutes later, I might say, okay, the next word for attendance is, tell me, what is the definition of biology? So just to be aware, that's how that works. But anyway, I've talked to you here off enough. Again, the first word for attendance was bacon. You should have written that down. You should have taken a screenshot. And again, as you're watching the video, make sure you write down those attendance words and take screenshots. But that being said, it is, let's call it 7:35-ish right now. So you, if you're watching this video, can go ahead and skip ahead about 25 minutes. So if you skip ahead about 25 minutes, then you get to the point where the lecture actually starts. And that's it. Morning.
Morning. Can you check and see if I'm on your roster? Because none of my in-person classes are showing up on my app. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm actually setting up the roster right now, so
Okay.
bear with me and I'll take care of that for you. Let's see. What's your last name?
Van Camp.
Let's see. Change things that won't. No?
I'm not.
Let's see. Grace Bear. Oh yeah, sorry. It's going for it's listed by first name.
Okay.
Bear?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So weird. Why would it do it that way? Okay. I set a few things up, so bear with me. I'm sitting here. I'm not trying to be rude.
Oh no, you're fine.
Got a few things to do. Morning.
Good morning.
Here for the in-person Bio 101,
Yeah.
the right place. I've got a few things to take care of, so I'm not trying to be rude, but I'll have my face on my computer for a little bit here.
You want to sit around? Yeah. Okay. So you have to get that. I'm sure.
Morning.
Good morning.
Be with you all shortly.
Oh, it's your phone. Yes. That's where my sister's kids got us to our grandparents. They didn't even know they were missing until she sent me a message. She just decided to turn more on speed. She didn't expect everything to finish. We didn't. I know, she said it's small. I don't usually. Still work. It has one. Because it's a call. Not like so sister just drops a little body. She got the job.
Be right back, excuse me.
Yeah. I don't know their job. Years. Most of it. Most of it's fun. Yeah. Just I'll take it. I don't know. I can't remember if I don't think you do that. I remember it was yeah, but she gave me cash for paydays.
Have any of you tried to see if the course is online yet?
Not
It's not, no, you haven't tried or no, it's not online?
It's all.
Okay. I've sent somebody an email today. It's actually very important, even though it's Web 30, I really rely on online stuff. And I'll talk about that when we talk about the syllabus. Excuse me. All right, let's see. I'm gonna try to guess games. If I guess things, it helps me remember. So don't answer the question completely. Just give me your first name, the first letter of your first name. We'll start with you.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay. Katie with a D? No? Kaylee? Okay. Gotcha. Kaylee, do you go by Kaylee?
Yes.
Okay. I already know, we have Barrett. Let's see, what's your first name start with?
Me,
Mhm.
H.
H? Okay, Haley?
No.
Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you?
H.
So then, Haley? Okay. And you?
M.
M? Marley? Almost easy. Oh, we got a little bit of a wait. So you aren't required to do this, but if you want to, there'll be a little extra credit today. So you'll need something to write with, even if it's just on your phone, take notes. I'm recording this, so the people who aren't here, they're gonna have to watch the video, and to prove they watched the video, they're gonna have to send me a list of attendance words. So throughout the lecture, I'm gonna give attendance words, and you're not required to send them in, but if you do email them in, after the course, or after the class, then you'll get some extra credit. And I'll explain the points a little bit later, but for now, I just want you to know. Be ready if you want to write down these random attendance words, whether it's on your phone or on a piece of paper or whatever it may be. But when I do say them, don't send them in right away. You'll do it at the end of the class. You'll send them in all in one email.
This is what I have to last month. And I found this pen in my car. I stole it from my car.
Good morning.
Yeah, I knew it though. I knew it. I knew it around. Yeah.
All right. For you who just came in, what does your first name start with? What letter does your first name start with? A? Well, that should be easy then. Unless it's addition. Ashley? Okay. And what does your first name start with?
Sam,
Yeah?
but my advisor messed up my schedule, so it might be in there and it might not.
Okay. I think it is not, yeah, because right now Marley's the only M and there can only be one, so you have to leave. I'm just kidding. So what is your first name
Mia, M-I-A,
and last name?
Bartoli, B-A-R-T-O-L-I.
All right. And what does your first name start with?
C.
C? I'm gonna try to guess it.
One.
Or if I got the right person, it might be like my situation where I'm not guessing it, but you can guess how to say it. Chaim Emmanuel,
Kayam.
Kayam Emmanuel. You go by both of those at once.
You say Kayam.
Kayam. Got it. I was just telling the people who were here earlier, you're not required to do this, but if you have anything you can write with, whether it be on paper or on your phone, there will be a little bit of extra credit offered today, but I'll explain it later. So everybody's accounted for so far, I think. Is anybody here not from West Virginia? Where are you from?
DC.
DC? Okay. So, how long have you been here?
Just a semester.
Okay, it's your first semester here?
I mean, the
Oh,
first
so,
semester.
yeah, fall semester, okay.
Yeah,
You in sports then?
Yeah.
Which sport?
football.
Which position?
Linebacker.
I used to play tight end a long time ago. I was no good at it. I assume none of you are biology majors, right? Okay, good. Obviously, I have nothing against biology majors. It's just that this class would be a little bit of a waste of your time if you were. This is like the easier version of the freshman class that the biology people take. How many of you are education majors? Wow, okay. What do you want to teach? Elementary, how about you? Elementary, you? All elementary, okay. I was an elementary major, or an education major for a little bit. Here at State, about a decade ago. Changed my majors, obviously. How many of you are supposed to graduate this semester? That's good. There's no pressure, right? You who just came in, what's your first name start with?
S.
S? Okay, I'm gonna try to guess it. I'll be doing this for the first couple of weeks probably. It helps me remember who's who if I have to guess it. Oh, Savannah. That's where I was born. It's also the name of Jimmy Buffett's daughter. Okay, what's your first name start with?
L.
Lucas?
Yep.
All right. What's your first name start with? I? Okay. Isaiah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what does your first name start with? Okay.
I am.
I was gonna guess it. That's okay. Kind of, got it. We won't get started right at 8. I give it a couple minutes just to make sure people know how to find the place. Said this a couple of times, but if you just come in, if you have anything to write with, whether it be a piece of paper or your phone, you might want to have that handy. You don't have to, but there'll be some extra credit for today, and I'll explain later. But long story short, you might want to write some things down to get that extra credit if you want to. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, so we had more people come in. When I first asked this question, there was only one person not from West Virginia. He's from DC. Anybody else not from West Virginia? Start with you since you're closer. Where are you from?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh? Okay. I love Pittsburgh. Where are you from?
Florida.
Oh, me too. Where in Florida?
Tampa.
Tampa? Okay. I'm not from Tampa, but I spent a lot of time in Tarpon Springs, as you can imagine by my name. A lot of weeks, Greek area. So what brought you up here? Tampa? And what brought you here from Pittsburgh? What position? Okay. Well, good. The football players, at least you, I'm sure, have had teammates who've had my class, so they can give you some advice about how it works. So I would talk to them. It is 8. Like I said, we'll wait a little bit. We won't get started right away because I want to make sure everybody gets here. Usually I'm very punctual. Usually at 8 o'clock, I'll shut the door and lock it for safety reasons. Not just because like, hey, if you're late, you can't be here. Because if you come in late, I will open the door and let you in. But I like to keep the doors locked. Crazy times we're living in. So we got DC, Pittsburgh, and Tampa. Is it actually in Tampa or right outside of Tampa? Or because you know when you're not from someplace and you say, "Oh, I'm from Tampa," but you're like from Tarpon Springs or Ybor City. It is Tampa. Okay. How often do you go back?
I try to go once a year.
8:01. We'll give it about one more minute. And once again, I'll ask. So we don't have any biology majors, right? Okay. Now we've got some education majors. Anybody doing music as a major?
I'm minoring music.
Okay. What's the minor specifically?
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
I'm not just in music.
Music? Okay. Yeah. So what do you play?
Mainly percussion. In the marching band, I play bass drum. I'm starting to get this.
Okay. Percussion is one of those instruments I cannot play. I just can't do drums. I can't do drums, and I can't do double double reads. I go above the soon. Can't do that. Anything else I can play. It might sound like garbage, but I can play it. All right, it's 8:02. I guess we'll get started. So I've already confirmed with one of you guys that the online portion of this course is not up yet. It should be, but it's not. I've emailed somebody, so I'll keep it open for today. So what we're looking at is the master version. So it's going to look a little bit different than what you see, because again, this is the master copy that needs to be copied over to your version. And also, this is the professional's version, so it's going to look slightly different. But today, we're just going to go over the syllabus. So I'm going to show you where to find the syllabus. Bear with me. Actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and say what I was talking about with the extra credits. So I'm recording this because obviously not everyone's here. So I'm going to try every time we have a lecture to record it. And then throughout the lecture, I'm going to give a random attendance word. So I'm going to say, hey, the first word for attendance is, and I'll say it. So the people who are watching that, they're going to have to write that down, right? That's how they prove that they watched the video. They're also going to have to take screenshots. You guys don't need to worry about that yet. But anyway, the point is, as I'm saying those attendance words, those people watching the video, they have to write it down. You guys don't have to today, but if you want to, you can. And at the end of the lecture, if you want to send me an email with all those attendance words, you'll get a little bit of extra credit. Good? All right. And there's my email address up there. Anyway, that being said, let's get started. And the second word for attendance, I already gave the first one before you were here. I started recording earlier, will be eggs. Eggs is for you guys, the first word for attendance. But for those watching the video, that is the second word for attendance, eggs. All right, let me get my screen going here. Everybody's accounted for as far as attendance, right? I didn't miss anybody. All right, there we go. So we're going to look at, like I said, we're going to look at the syllabus. But before I get to the syllabus, I also want to point this out. I'm going to mention this a few times today, but I'm going to show you where to get it. My number one piece of advice for this course, well, I don't know, it's kind of tied. My top advice, first of all, attend the lecture and pay attention. And if you can't, watch the video. Second of all, and this is the big one because people keep screwing this up, read your course announcements. Check those daily if you can, at least every other day. You're going to want to read the course announcements. There's very important information there. And a related note, you're going to check your emails a lot, your WVSU emails. Every time I post a course announcement, you should get an automatic email. Sometimes things go wrong, maybe it goes into your spam folder, I don't know. So that's why I'm suggesting both. Make sure you check your email and make sure you check the course announcements. Anyway, let's scroll down here and look at the syllabus. Please, if you guys have questions while we're doing this, please let me know. That's kind of small. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Man, it's going to be hard to read. I apologize. But once this is online and active, you can look at it yourself, of course. There we go. So there's the table of contents. So my name is Vasilios Dianos. I know that's a weird name. You can call me Mr. B, Mr. D, Professor D, whatever you want, as long as it makes sense and I know to listen to it. If you say, hey, Chuck, I'm not going to know you're talking to me. So like I said, I don't care what you call me as long as it makes sense. So that's my name. My phone number is 304-766-3125. That is my office number. It is forwarded to my cell phone. And you can call me any time of any day. You can call me at 3 in the morning on a Monday. I don't care. Because when I go to sleep or if I don't want to be disturbed, I'm going to turn my finger off. But if I happen to be awake and you happen to need help at 3 in the morning on a Monday, I will answer it and I will help you. So call me whenever you want. If you came in late, make sure you send me an email at the end of the course, at the end of the lecture, to make sure you remind me that you came in late. Or stay back and we'll make sure you get taken care of. Anyway, so any questions about calling? All right, there's my email address. It's a link, obviously, because it's a lot to type out. But once you start typing out my name, it should pop up in your WVSU email. But that's it. And again, check your email. Very important. It's very often because it's very important. It's the official means of communication. So yes, I did say you can call me, and you really can call me anytime you want. But officially, that's the best way to reach me is via email. I will say this: I have a lot of students, so it would help when you email me to tell me which course and section number you are, right? So you guys are in 101. I know it's hard to read, but you're in 101-02. So when you email me, that would help. Like, hey, I'm in 101-02, and I have a question about second lab. I'd be really specific. Because I have so many students and I get so many emails, if you don't do that, I'll probably just reply back, what section number are you? Or what course number are you? Whatever it may be. and then I'll go on to the next email, right? Because I'm in a hurry, I'm trying to help people out quickly, so that would help. So any questions about that? All right, my office is in 131 Hamlin Hall, which is downstairs. You can come anytime you want. Speaking of when you can come, again, you can come anytime you want, but you're guaranteed to find me there during office hours, which is Monday from 9 to 10, Wednesday from 11 to 1, and Friday from 9 to 10. I want to reiterate this because some people get this confused. I'm not saying that's the only time that you can reach me. I'm saying that's when you're guaranteed to reach me and you don't need to schedule, right? You can just pop in online. If you click that link, you can meet me online, or you can come into my office. But those are the times you're guaranteed to find me there. But again, I'm open outside of those hours. So please, if you need help, let me help you. I love to help. I prefer to help you do something than you afterwards say, I didn't understand it. That's why you got a bad grade. Like, I want to help you. So again, that's when you can find me. And then I'm more than willing to meet you outside of those hours. So any questions about office hours? All right, course description, you can read that on your own. I'm not going to waste too much time on that. Basically, it's a 4-hour course. You're going to learn the basics of biology. Biology, in my opinion, obviously, since I'm a biologist, is a very fascinating subject. But I hate to say this, but some of the stuff we're covering is not going to be so fascinating. You are learning the basics of biology, right? You're going to learn just the basics, what you need to know to understand the rest of biology. And later we'll talk about why that's so important. But anyway, read that. Actually, you're going to need to read the whole syllabus. That's your first assignment, is to read the syllabus. We're only skimming over it, talk about the important stuff. General outcomes for this course. At the end of it, you should be able to demonstrate an understanding of the nature of science and scientific thinking. In my opinion, that's probably the most important, probably even more important than biology itself, is the idea of scientific thinking and critical thinking. There's a lot of that lacking in this world today. So anyway, that's number one. Number two, practice laboratory techniques to develop intellectual skills, such as collecting and analyzing data and drawing conclusions from data. Also very important. Again, not necessarily the lab part, because none of you are biology majors, so you're probably not going to be doing labs in your everyday life. But the ability to collect data, analyze it, and draw conclusions is very important. There's a lot of misinformation in the world, and it seems to be getting exponentially worse. So the ability to do this is actually quite important. So you might be here because you have to for your major, and this is required, but I'm telling you, this is important information. The textbook, here's some good news if you haven't checked it yet. If you click this link, it's right there. It's a free textbook, it's online. So you don't have to buy a textbook. You have access to it any place that you have internet. Another place you can find it, if you go back to the online course, you look here, like for example, module 1, which is what we're going to start tomorrow, Wednesday. You go right here, chapter 1. So everything you need to read is right there, and you can just click on it. There it is. So everybody good there with the textbook? Any questions about that? All right. I'm going to mention this later, but I'll go ahead and mention it now since we're talking about it. That is your duty. That is one of your assignments. You need to read the textbook before you come in. That way, when I present the information, you'll have already read it, and then you'll remember and say, okay, wait, can you explain that again? Because that's not how I understood it. Things like that. So make sure you read your textbook. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about grades later, but here's the basic breakdown. The entire course is worth 1,000 points. So the exam portion of this course is worth 300 points. So I hope that helps things. I hope people see that as a good thing. That means only, 300, so that's what? 3 letter grades. 3 letter grades is based on the exams, the first 3 exams anyway, because they're each worth 100 points apiece. And then you have a comprehensive final exam, and again, I'll talk about exams a little bit later. We're just talking about the grades right now. It's worth 180 points. The laboratory component, which I'll talk about in detail later, is worth 300 points. So again, 3 letter grades for lab. Discussions, I only left this on here because because I don't want to have to edit it later. I'll go ahead and tell you now, discussions are completely extra credit because I've got a lot going on. I'm trying to make some changes to the discussions. I'm having real big problems with AI. So because of my problems with AI, I'm really, 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 really picky about how you use sources. And because I'm so picky, again, extra credit. You don't have to do them at all. It will not hurt your grade. I'll post something later that explains how the grading works. But yes, you do not have to do the discussions. But they are there if you want to do them for extra credit. So any questions so far? All right, the other one, this one's a little bit trickier. Participation. So it's 100 points. It's a full letter, right? Plus 1 letter grade for 100 out of 1,000, it's 10%. And participation is a little bit trickier. because the way you get those points will vary. For example, today, just being here, you're gonna get your points. Sometimes, remember I've already talked about the attendance words, right? Sometimes, like right now today, people watching the video, they're required to send the attendance words. Some days I might tell you guys, make sure you send in the attendance words to get your points. Does that make sense? So sometimes all you have to do is be here. Sometimes you have to send attendance words. Sometimes at the end of the course or at the end of this lecture, I might say, send me one question based on this material. Or I might give you one question based on the material. Does all that make sense? Point is, every day you get points for participating, and the way you're going to get it varies. Of course, if you're absent, whether it's excused or not, then you're going to need to watch the video, like we're recording now. And for the video to get the participation points, it's usually going to be send in the attendance words, and you just follow the instructions that I'll give you when that time comes. So, any questions about that? All right, I'm really hoping that helps people's grade. So if you're not the best student or you're afraid of science or biology, think about that. That's 100, basically free points. It's not free because you do have to pay attention. But for the most part, as long as you're here and paying attention, you're going to get those points. So I hope that actually helps people and not hurts them. So any questions about the grading? And again, we'll go into more detail with each individual one later. All right, here's the grading scale. It's pretty simple. Of course, this won't help you until the end of the semester, but 900 to 1000's an A, 800 to 899 to B, so on and so forth. Again, just 100, every 100 points is a letter grade. And the way it works with WVSU Online is when you go there, you'll be able to see your grade. It'll give you your letter grade. You won't have to do the math. So any questions about that? All right, so let's talk about the assignments. All the assignments can be found online. So for example, the discussions, like I said, you go here, module 1, the first discussion is right here. You click on that, it'll give you the prompt. Long story short, basically it's pretty simple. Well, again, I'm really picky on how I do the sort, on grading the sources. But the concept is simple. Basically, all you're going to do is go to the particular chapter that we're covering during that module. In this case, it's chapter 1. You're going to look at all the key terms and define it. Copy and paste, right? According to the textbook, the definition of biology is this. Then you go and find a second source. According to this source, the definition of biology is this, right? You copy and paste those two things. And then from your own words, you're going to compare and contrast how they're similar, how they're different. Does that make sense? That's basically all you're going to do. But again, because of the use of AI, I'm just really, really, really picky with sources. And because I'm so picky, discussions are indeed extra credit. All right, excuse me. Here. Where are we at? There we go. So that's how the discussion is going to work. The university has given me a rubric that I have to give you. So here's the rubric that I have to give you. You can read it if you want, but I don't go off that. Like I said, other than the fact that I'm really picky with how you use your sources, the discussions themselves are pretty simple. Quote this, quote that, compare and contrast. That's it. You're only going to lose points if you don't follow those directions, or if, I don't know, you misspell something or have big grammatical errors. It's not an English class, so as long as your English isn't horrible, you're probably not going to lose points for that either. Anyway, every 2 weeks you have a quiz due. That's also extra credit. So if you notice when I showed you the grades, that wasn't listed on there because quizzes, you're not going to get any points for those at all. Basically, those quizzes are like free homework where it doesn't affect your grade, and that's your study guide for the exams. So I recommend taking the quizzes. Every time you take them, you should get you can retake them as many times as you want. You should get a different set of questions. So that's just your way, again, of preparing for the exams. And probably at the end of the semester, I will take a look at those quizzes. Not definitely, but probably I'll take a look. And I will see who's done them. And if you have done them, I might give you some extra credit for that. But again, not required. They're there for you for your extra credit. I will point this out too, just like I was showing you earlier. Everything you can find here, right? So quiz 1. Just go there, scroll through it, take the quiz. So any questions about that? All right. So labs, this is important. People mess this up a lot. So again, lab is worth 300 points total. So that's 3 letter grades. It's important. You need to be here for labs. Labs are important. Normally, I don't like to read off these things, but I'm going to because it's so important. There are 14 lab components included in this course, 2 for each module. There will be a meeting once per week for lab, except during spring break and the last week of class. Before coming to lab, students must complete a pre-lab. That's an important one. So we're not gonna have our first lab until next week. All right, next week will be the first lab, but we will meet for lab this week on Wednesday, directly after this lecture. We'll meet at 9 a.m. And all we're gonna do this week is I'm gonna show you how to do a pre-lab. Because every week you have a pre-lab that's due on Friday that's for the lab, the upcoming lab. Does that make sense? So next week we're doing a hypothesis testing lab. So this week, your pre-lab for that is due on Friday. But of course, in this one instance, we're gonna meet on Wednesday, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. But other than that, after this week, you'll be on your own to do it. Does that make sense? Okay. I also want to point this out. Even though the pre-labs are pre-labs and you're supposed to do them on your own, or you can do them on your own, you don't have to. This is not a test. These are labs. So as you're doing a pre-lab, if you need my help, you know my office hours. Let me help you. I prefer to help you. The idea of a pre-lab is to make sure that you are prepared to come to class or prepared to come to lab. Many times when we do labs, you're going to be working as teams. So if you come in unprepared, you're not just hurting yourself, but you're hurting your classmates. So make sure you do the pre-labs. Make sure you let me know if you need help. And you have to be here. You have to be here for lab. Lecture, you can tell it's a little bit looser. Like I'm recording it, so you have other ways of making other participation points. With labs, you have to be there. If you miss a lab, you get a 0. If you have an excused absence for a lab, like you have a game or something, you still have to do the lab, and I'll provide you with the data. But that's the only time you don't physically have to be here is if you have an excused absence. But again, even if you have an excused absence, you have to do the lab. That makes sense? All right. Yeah, that's basically it for that. For labs, we'll talk more about labs on Wednesday when we meet for lab. That's just the overview. Late work will not be accepted, so this is a new thing I'm doing this semester. I've always said that in the syllabus just to cover my rear to make sure I don't get in any trouble. But generally, I have taken late work with some penalties. But this semester, I'm doing something different, and I'm just not going to take late work anymore. You can turn it in, but what will happen is I'll just file it away, and at the end of the semester, when I'm looking at your grades, if you're really close to the next letter grade, I'm like, oh, let me see if they turned in any late work, and then I'll go back in and grade it. Does that make sense? So if you have like an 81, you need a 90 to get an A. If you have an 81% B at the end of the semester, I'm probably not going to go grade your old stuff because it's not going to matter. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, technically late work will not be accepted. But again, at the end of the semester, I might go back in and grade it if I can. The point here, one thing to remember, if that is the case, if you do have late work, don't even ask me about it, just go ahead and turn it in. I don't need to ask you permission because technically the answer is no. But I'm saying go ahead and turn it in. The sooner you turn it in, the better. And also there might be some times when I'm so caught up on my work, I doubt it, but if that ever happens and I have some extra time on my hand, then I will go ahead and start grading your late work, even before the end of the semester. But anyway, so that's the official late work policy. Any questions? All right, exams. We're going to have 4 exams this semester. Again, you can find them here, right? So you can see every 2 modules will have an exam. I'm also doing something new this semester, and for most of you, that doesn't even matter. For some of you may have talked to people who've had this course before. So exams will be online. That part's not new. So you're going to make sure you have a computer. The thing that is new, though, is now the exams will be here. You're going to take the exam here. So even though it's online, you're going to come in, bring a computer, make sure you have something to plug your computer in with. Because, you don't want your computer to die in the middle of the exam. But yeah, so we'll have exams here. So you'll have 50 minutes to take about 50 questions, to answer about 50 questions. If you want to take it some other time and don't want to come in or you can't come in, we'll make arrangements. Like I can meet you online, proctor your exam that way. But the overall plan is we will meet here 4 times this semester. You bring your computer and we'll do the exams online. And the exams are almost entirely based on the textbook. And when I'm giving a lecture, I give you the exceptions. So sometimes I'll tell you something, hey, make sure you take note of this. This is not in your textbook, or it's written different in your textbook, and you need to know it. So make sure you're paying attention and lecture for those reasons. Yeah, other than that, and then again, your study guide for the exams are the quizzes. So any questions about the exams? All right, the next word for attendance is going to be test. So again, if you're here now, you don't have to send those words at the end of the class, but you can for extra credit. And if you're watching the video, you do have to send that word along with the screenshot. All right, let's talk about late work. We already talked about. Again, officially, it's not permitted. Unofficially, I'm saying go ahead and do it. The sooner you do it, the better. What else? Oh, one thing that, speaking of late work, it's really important that you get pre-labs done on time. You definitely don't want to be late with that. Because again, pre-labs, that's your showing that you're ready to go to lab the next week. So you really need to get those done on time. If you ever prioritize, if you're ever like looking at something like, oh, I've got this due and I've got this due, which one do I do first? Because one of them is going to be late. I would say prioritize the pre-labs. Anyway, yeah, officially late work's not accepted. Exams, again, you can read that if you want. Long story short is you have to take an exam. If something comes up, you and I can make arrangements. You probably have to take a proctored exam. It might be a little bit harder if you miss it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Student expectations, participate, right? Like I said, you're getting graded for participation. I try this every semester, it doesn't work. I'm doing it right now, but I don't want to talk to you. I want to have conversations with you. But usually it ends up me just talking and explaining stuff on the screen, which I don't want to do. So that's up to you, right? I need you to participate. It would help if we could have a conversation instead of me just talking at you. But anyway, yeah, make sure you come to class, make sure you pay attention. Definitely that one too. I get so many semesters, people come in and they're sitting here, but they're obviously not paying attention because you'll see at the beginning of every lecture, I'll have like announcements and reminders. And I'll say the same thing over and over and over every day for like 2 weeks. And then somebody will be like, hey, when's the exam again? I'm like, it's the same thing I said over and over every day for 2 weeks. So make sure you pay attention. But also, don't hesitate to ask if you don't know something. But yeah. Anyway, we already talked about participation points, 100 points just for participating. Oh, here's a big one. I haven't mentioned this yet. Make sure you check your email and course announcements before you come in, if you can. How many of you do not live on campus? Okay, so this is even more important for you guys. If you live on campus, it's not as big a deal, but if you don't live here, you make sure I have an email or post an announcement and say, hey, we have a snow day, my kids have a snow day, I can't make it in, we're gonna meet online, here's the link, right? But of course, if you're in person and you walk here and you find out that we didn't have class, it's no big deal, you can just walk back to your dorm room. But yes, please, before you come in, make sure you check. How many of you have to drive more than 30 minutes to get here? Oof, yeah, especially you, right? Imagine driving that far to find out we don't have class. And then on a related note, if the campus closes or anything like that happens, we will still meet, but it'll be online. And also on a related note, if you can't make it, right, Institute may be fine, but wherever you live may be iced in, then you can join online, right? If you can't make it, don't risk your life to get here, because there are other options to get your participation points. Especially if you don't feel good. If you're feeling a little sick, we're having a really bad flu season. If you don't feel good, don't come in. Watch the video or tell me beforehand, like, I'm not feeling good. Can I join you online? And yes, you can join us online instead. Any questions about that? All right. Again, this is all stuff I've already said. Make sure you check the announcements, your WVSU Gmail regularly. Make sure you read the textbook. Proctor testing. I will proctor your test if we need to. Common WVSU syllabi information. I'm not reading that because that's the same. It should be the same for every syllabus you see today. And then a tentative course schedule. Actually, I'm not going to read that either. Basically, every 2 weeks we have a module, right? So in 2 weeks we'll be done with module 2. In 4 weeks we'll be done. 2 weeks we'll be done with module 1. In 4 weeks we'll be done with module 2, so on and so forth. It's all there. It's all very tentative. So expect things to change. The only thing that won't change is the labs, right? Labs are definitely every week. The pre-labs are due every week. I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. 8:25. So the last word for attendance will be, put it up here for the people who need to take the screenshot. The last word for attendance is going to be schedule. And that's it. So we're done for the day. Make sure you're here on time on Wednesday. Bring a computer, because on Wednesday after the lecture, we're going to have lab. So I can teach you how to do the pre-labs, and that's it. Again, send me those attendance words if you want the extra credit. You don't have to if you don't want to. For those of you who came late, I guess just come up here and let me log you in.